second base, though, Tony. There's still some Padre people out there that are like, Nico Horner, are you kidding me? But honestly, is anybody going to remember 6 months from now where Hassan Kim's Gold Glove came? The fact of the matter is he won one and it was deserving. So
Hassan doesn't seem
happy with that.
Hassan doesn't seem too upset about it. And
I don't think so.
Nico Horner certainly was deserving. It wasn't like this guy came out of nowhere and snatched a Gold Glove from Hassan.
There was a lot of surprising choices, though. Brenton Doyle, the rookie.
I didn't think that was a surprise
Rockies.
either.
You didn't?
No.
He was good. He was good,
really
but I mean,
good.
for a rookie to come in and just all of a sudden be judged as better than any other fielder in center field is pretty impressive. And my congratulations to Key Brian Hayes, the Pirates third baseman. But just, for the hell of it, I have to say, Tony, the day that Key Brian Hayes makes me as comfortable as Manny Machado at third base will be a long day coming. I still get upset every time Manny doesn't win that award. But
yeah, no,
good for Key Brian Hayes.
Another kid who is deserving. Listen, we're spoiled. We get to watch Manny on a nightly basis. We don't have that luxury with a lot of these guys who took home an award on the defensive side. I thought Doyle in particular, because I consider myself pretty tough on outfielders, specifically center fielders. Sure. I thought he was watching him in person, the amount of ground he covers. He has a big arm that he threw out a bunch of people who kept trying to run on him. And I think it's really a testament to how they do Gold Glove awards now. There was a time, as you and I talked about maybe a couple months ago, where you couldn't just be a good defender. The offense needed to kind of come along with it. And that's why some guys kept winning the award more so than their defense.
And you had to have a reputation, Tony. If you didn't have a reputation as a great defensive player, it was almost impossible to knock somebody off their perch.
Yeah. And that's what makes Fernando, because although he might be one of the most exciting players, I don't think anybody came into the year like, oh, this guy is one of the best defenders we've ever seen. But his reputation grew pretty quickly in right field. He adapted.
And he beat out Mookie Betts, a guy who had won it many times.
Yeah,
so that's even a bigger feather in Fernando's cap.
It was no slouch he was going up against, to say the least. Right. Aside from that, so that's the good stuff. So here's kind of I would say it's not bad. It's just, kind of lukewarm, if you will, depending on how you view it. Michael Wacha, the Padres declined their 2-year, $32 million club option on his services. He then turned around and declined his player option, which was for $6.5 million. So, in essence, he becomes free agent. I think probably the more surprising one of the guys who, because he wasn't the only one. Seth Lugo also declined his option. We talked on Friday before the show ended that Chris Carpenter accepted his option. Chris Carpenter. Matt Carpenter.
Yes.
Accepted his
Chris Carpenter.
Matt Carpenter accepted his player option. The surprising one, I think, to me, was Nick Martinez. The Padres and Nick Martinez declined their simultaneous option. So the Padres decided they weren't going to finish out. I think the Padres side of that was $16 million. And I think Nick Martinez's side was $8 million. Padres declined theirs. He declined his. So that means he's a free agent. So it's not just Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo now that you have to account for. You got to account for a guy who I think was extremely valuable to the Padres, and Nick Martinez. So that's the lukewarm part. The Padres managerial,
the pitching staff. Let's get to that for a second, Tony. But I just want to talk about the pitching staff. The pitching staff has unfortunately been shredded here in a very short amount of time. I mean, we all expect to lose Blake Snell to free agency. We know we're going to lose Josh Hader to free agency. You're talking about 5 really good arms that are likely not to be here next year. When you talk about Snell, you talk about Lugo, you talk about Wacha, that's 60% of your rotation. Nick Martinez is your key, what do you call him? Swiss Army knife guy.
Yeah.
And then Josh Hader. I go back to Wacha, and I wonder, do the Padres think that he's really not worth $16 million to another team out there? Because I could certainly understand he wouldn't accept $6 million. He's worth much more than that. But the Padres must think that he's not worth more than $16 million, or they would have picked up that option. I wonder if some other team will think that he is worth $16 million. He's pitched that way now 2 straight years. We'll see. And as far as Nick Martinez is concerned, $16 million sounds like a lot, but $8 million doesn't sound bad. We'll see if Nick's able to make more than $8 million somewhere, And so everybody's betting on something happening down the road. But the bottom line is the Padres are without a lot of really good arms.
Yeah, no, it's to me, the Padres had to decide with Nick Martinez whether or not to exercise the $16 million options, because it would have kicked in for both years. So ultimately,
I don't think they should have.
It ultimately would have equated to about the same of what not about it would have accounted for the same of what Michael Wacha was. They declined on him as well. Maybe 16 is too high, but my guess is 8 is probably too low. So maybe there's some room somewhere in the middle there for the Padres, unless the team, of course, feels like he is worth that 16. That part, and as you mentioned, it's now become quite a few pieces. You couple that with the reported $200 million price tag that the team is supposed to get to or get at. It's going to complicate it, but that also could mean that AJ is maybe trying to clear the deck a little bit so he can get a little creative with the space that he is now having now. I think that the offseason will determine that. You certainly know he won't sit on his hands. You can almost guarantee he is going to be active. Yeah. It's just going to have to be in a more, fine number. You're not going to be going as high as maybe you have in the past. And a lot of people think that by declining those options, one more thing, Tony, that this opens it up for him to maybe have a better chance to keep Juan Soto. Maybe we just don't know what he's thinking, right? I mean, we never have known what he's thinking, so it's kind of silly for us to try to guess now. Now, the managerial search, the Padres, according to John Morosi, the Padres are said to have 4 finalists for their managerial position. Internal candidates, Mike Shildt, Brian Flaherty. External candidates, Benji Gill, Carlos Mendoza. Now, since that was tweeted out, one name has come off the list reportedly, according to, I think it was Sherman of the New York Post that was the one who tweeted that. Correct, Scrape?
Are we talking Mets?
Yes.
Yes, it was that, and John Heyman had another hard spelling mistake here.
Was we got another another Larson?
It wasn't Arson Judge.
Yeah.
It was the Murs
the Murs,
not the Mets, but the Murs have come to agreement.
So Carlos Mendoza.
Having big thumbs myself, I understand that. So.
Carlos Mendoza, one of those external candidates, he comes off the board reportedly. He's going to be the Mets manager. So it sounds like, based on the things I've read, that Mike Shildt seems to be that have some availability. I don't know if that means he'll be, a late entry into this coaching search, but he is a name that has had some success doing it. So I don't know where that leads, but the Craig Counsell move, because remember, he was reportedly interviewing for the Mets. I don't think the Cubs were even on the board. This is kind of out of the Padres getting Bob Melvin type deal. Craig Counsell switches in division into the division, a big rival between the two. He goes to the Cubs. Ross now becomes available. I don't think anybody saw this one coming.
Was David Ross? Did he know it was coming? Because he wasn't fired, right?
No, he wasn't. But there was talk at the end of the year because of the collapse that day. Because remember, they were the ones that were leading.
They did have
that wild card plays, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to the fly ball hit the right field that was misplayed in Milwaukee. I believe that was. The Cubs ended up losing that game. Or no, it was in Atlanta. It would have clinched. It was the 9th inning.
Yeah.
It would have clinched the spot.
It was Suzuki.
It's right. Yeah. loses it in the whatever, the lights, he didn't catch it, however it went down. Now a manager, but a month later, a manager's fired, and you have a new one. Craig Counsell, not a bad one to have, certainly.
No, I think the Cubs figured if you can't beat them, join them. I mean, they've been trying to beat Craig Counsell for years, so they just brought him in. But this is surprising. I mean, as of this morning, David Ross was the manager of the Cubs. Now he gets let go. But it just reminds me, Tony, that A.J. Preller is always lurking out there. And you don't know what he's doing. And in the same vein as we didn't know what the Cubs were doing with Craig Counsell, I still think it's open season for the Padres situation. Yeah. I know that Schilt has been reported. I know that Flaherty has been reported. I know that Benji Gill has been reported. But I'm still thinking names that haven't been reported. And I don't know exactly. The Padres need to do something soon. I mean, Stephen Vogt went off the board today.
Yes,
he was taken by the Cleveland Guardians. So just about everybody who needs a manager has one now. And the Padres are, one of the few teams that are a little late to this party. It makes me think that A.J. Preller is still seeing who he can talk to and still seeing who he can go visit with and maybe see if he can't make something else happen. Mike Schilt, Ryan Flaherty, Benji Gill, all three probably terrific managers, terrific guys, have great qualifications, but none of them move the needle a great deal. I think that they would be acceptable hires. I think people would be happy with them. But A.J. Preller loves to make a splash. This is what he's known for. And I'm just cautioning everybody that if some other name comes out of left field the way that Craig Counsell to the Cubs did, don't be overly shocked.
I have a name for you too.
Do we want to hear this here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Go
do.
ahead.
We're going to have to do it after the break though.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Skraby with a tease.
Yes, but we should mention though that Chris is not in a tube somewhere, as the stream is saying. He's in
does
Portland.
It sound like he's in a tube?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds definitely different from what they're normally hearing Chris from. But Chris is in a hotel room in Portland, and he is going to join us throughout the show for Big Five and the rest of this hour.
Speaking of that, you won't get your daily dose of Chris versus fans, but you will get your. I don't know if it's a dose, but you'll get Gwynn versus the fans.
Yes.
And we'll couple that win that usually qualifies you to a trip to Vegas. We'll couple that with a pair of tickets to Green Day at Petco Park on September 28th.
Oh, wow.
This is huge.
Yeah. So sit back. Short show today. Who's playing Monday Night Football?
Chargers and Jets. Lots of implications fantasy-wise for our Odyssey League.
Yeah. Certainly so. I think I have Garrett Wilson going in the other league.
You have Garrett Wilson in this league.
Oh, is it this? So no, it is this league. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll just
Tony's in now.
We'll discuss. We'll discuss. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
Don't have time to listen to an entire fan talk show? The Odyssey app's chaptering feature allows you to skip any segment
All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris. Monday program here. Tony Gwynn Jr. and Matt Skraby broadcasting live from the Odyssey Palace Studios in San Diego. Chris Ello here in Portland, Oregon, getting ready for an Aztec women's basketball game tonight at 5 o'clock. Of course, the men, 7:30 at Viejas Arena to host Cal State Fullerton kickoff defense of their amazing Final Four run a year ago. Should be a tremendous night out at Viejas Arena. Good luck to Brian Dutcher and the Aztecs. If you're wondering about NFL week number 9, we will get deep into that. Our good, bad, and ugly is coming up in about 15 minutes. So we will recap the Dolphins pratfall yesterday in Germany and all of the other goings on in the National Football League. But
what did you call it? A
pratfall.
What is that?
A pratfall. That's when you go out there expecting to perform well and you fall on your face. I mean, that's a pratfall. That's that's about what Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins offense did yesterday. They came up with nothing, and it's starting to become the norm for them against good teams. But we'll kick that around, and the rest of it in the National Football League. Of course, we're going towards Monday Night Football tonight. Justin Herbert and the Chargers taking on the New York Jetropolitans. Before we went to break, we were talking about the Padres managerial situation and search, which according to reports would have you believe it's either going to be Mike Schilt or Ryan Flaherty or Benji Gill. And it's those three guys and those three guys only. I caution that A.J. Preller is a man who likes to pull surprises, and it wouldn't completely knock me off my seat if he came up with some other candidate at the last minute, much like what the Cubs did today, stealing Craig Counsell away from the Brewers.
Thieving.
Yeah, thievery. Well, the thing that got me, Tony, was that with all of the people out there that make reports on this stuff, he's going to interview with the Mets and the interview with the Guardians, but nobody said the Cubs. So it obviously happened totally behind closed doors. But Skraby says he's got a possible managerial name for the Padres. So everybody sit down. If you're driving, pull over to the side of the road and get ready for this bombshell.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Chris, for that introduction over here.
Get yourself ready.
First, I have to investigate something we just saw on the stream, but there's rumors of Buck Showalter now coming to San Diego. I know we kind of talked about it before.
That was an early one. Where'd you see that at?
On the stream, so I'm not going with it yet. So I just got to verify it before we go.
I'm gonna pull a Mad Dog Russo. If they hire Buck Showalter, I'm staying and living in Portland, Oregon.
Okay,
yeah, that's it. I'm not coming back home.
Don't do us like that, Chris.
I know.
I will say I've heard the name Mark DeRosa.
Ooh,
I don't know how accurate it is, but I did hear that in the ether. It's kind of been up in the atmosphere a little bit, but I don't know. Certainly haven't seen any reporting that he's interviewed. So we'll see.
No,
it hasn't. But
who do you have, Skrabe?
I have Albert Pujols. We talked about this I think it was a couple weeks ago, Chris, when Tony was not here. He was on his vacation, I believe we talked about it. But there are people out there that think that the Padres need a former player as a manager and someone who was a great former player. And then AJ can do his thing on the side, because Albert Pujols, I don't think necessarily would want to be day-to-day operations. And so it would be a fit for everyone. You get Albert Pujols, a legend, in there, and you get AJ
has Albert made any mention of wanting to manage ever? Does anybody got anything from
I tried to read everything he said over the weekend, but I couldn't catch up. I couldn't.
Did you see anything in which you saw that he said, I'd be interested in that?
No, but does he really want to be the Angels come on out guy and say hi to our
he does the Fox games.
He does.
I saw him on there during the playoffs. Did anybody else see that? I swear. Or TBS, one of the two.
Oh, I did not
see that. I saw him for sure. The thing is I would be the person right now who would just completely shoot this down and say that Skraby is crazy and has lost his mind. However, Skraby was the only one of us and the only person that I know of who stuck to the fact that Bob Melvin was going to wind up in San Francisco.
That doesn't
count. Even against all odds.
What? That doesn't count.
You know why it doesn't count? Because
how does that not count?
Because he he craves drama. So he was hoping for like the most dramatic exit possible. And of course, he usually voices these things on air. And this one happened to come true.
I was, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I will pat myself on the back. I was spot on from this whole thing. As soon as they got rid of Gabe Kapler, I thought they're coming after Bob Melvin. I thought it. And I said it on the air, Chris, didn't I?
This guy is just...
I hate to give you credit because that all right, I won't.
Okay, he was about to give me credit.
He doesn't need it.
I have to go. I have to throw you in the
animals.
blind squirrel. Yeah, blind squirrel finds an acorn. You got lucky.
Yeah, we had to change that up a little bit.
I don't think you're going to get lucky on Albert Pujols.
No, I wasn't calling that. I wasn't calling that or saying that it was going to happen, but I've seen that bounced around. The show. This is the first and last time I'll ever say something on the air that I read on the stream without confirming it. It was a fake Jeff Passan report. So
the good old fake Jeff Passan.
But we never officially went with it, so we're not all bad.
I'll tell you one thing. We've gone this threesome, us three. We've all kind of nodded our head in agreement that Skip Schumacher would be a tremendous pull.
He would.
But I've not seen that written or reported anywhere. There has been no inkling that could actually happen.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stay with that until further notice and hope that maybe we get lucky on one. But I don't know. I'm still kind of thinking AJ might pull a fast one on us.
At this point, I think it's silly that you don't have that kind of little bit of hesitation thought that he's going to do something that we aren't thinking of.
Well, we're going to talk about this more in the Big Five at 340, but they did name a AAA manager that came out of left field for me, obviously, because I had never heard of Mike Daly, but he also didn't have any professional managerial experience. So I'm going to ask you guys in the Big Five what you think about that.
Awesome.
Tony cannot wait to answer that question.
Good old AAA manager question. Love it.
It's a good one because I know I was a little confused. I was like, I thought you actually had to have coaching experience to be a manager, but I tend not to go too far down that road before talking to you guys.
All right. Looking forward to the El Paso talk.
Don't go too far. And before we go to break, I do want to officially congratulate my partner, Tony Gwynn Jr., who was officially inducted into the Poway High School Hall of Fame Saturday night. Skraby and I were very honored to attend the ceremony. And my man Larry out there and all the people at Poway High did a wonderful job welcoming us and honoring Tony. There was 2 other honorees on Saturday night, but Tony was kind of the cleanup hitter. They saved the best for last.
I don't know how. Tony, we'll discuss.
You went up there and you went up there and got through your speech somehow.
Barely.
But, we were proud. We were very proud of you.
I appreciate you guys coming. It was, say the least, it was a lot more emotional than I actually ever considered in my mind.
Wow.
And so we'll discuss
I agree with you. I didn't think it was that big. I didn't really think it was that big of a deal until I got there, and then I went, "Wow, this is kind of cool. This is pretty impressive."
What's funny is I think that's why it was so hard for me to get through the speech because I think in my mind I just envisioned it being something different, but it was a much bigger deal once you walked in there. So
I thought it was cool going through the Poway Titan Hall of Fame. I like seeing old stuff. I was going through like the 1970 yearbook. And
my kids really enjoyed that. They enjoyed the getting to look at the yearbook.
High school yearbook.
I haven't heard the end of that high school yearbook picture since we left.
You won't for a while.
Chris and I were kind of a fly on the wall for that moment when your family walked in and your kids were all like making fun of you, and it was really hilarious.
They got to see, because I went to school with 2 cousins and a sister, so they got to see like all of us at the age of 18, 17.
They loved it.
Yeah, it was a good time. I appreciate all that came out and supported. It was a pretty cool event, to say the least.
It was a special evening, to be sure. We got our good, bad, and ugly Week 9 of the National Football League recap coming next on Gwynn and Chris.
Gwynn and Chris on the Fan.
Guys, I love the 3 of you. This show
.238 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby. Chris Ello out in Portland. Pilots in the Aztecs, the women Aztecs basketball team, tipping off tonight. The men's basketball team here at Viejas tipping off against Cal State Fullerton. They open up their season. We went to the break talking a little bit about the honor I had bestowed upon me and going into the Poway High Hall of Fame. The interesting thing was Chris said I was the cleanup hitter, but this is no lie. There was a Secret Service woman who was killed in the line of duty. She
first and only woman for the Secret Service.
That was interesting on so many accounts, right? It's not necessarily the highlight for the Secret Service, yet the gentleman that was up there made the point to mention it because they haven't lost an agent since then. All of the, I guess, protocol to engaging has changed over time. They haven't had a Secret Service man or woman lost in the line of duty since then. The second one was really more mind blowing, as mind blowing, right? I mean,
still don't know what she was talking about. Chris, can you explain to us what rocket science she was trying to explain to us?
No, but it wasn't rocket science. Ha!
Yeah,
it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, it
was pretty impressive. Yeah, Tony was probably the third best guy, but he was our favorite, and we saved him for last.
The whole time I was sitting there, I'm like, this is nice that they're honoring the Secret Service.
Do you guys remember what the field was that she was in?
It's like quantum physics.
Quantum physics.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
I mean, she's like
the lady's name was Alice.
Yes, yeah. Alice, and she was explaining things about how they're modeling how fire spread in Hawaii, and they had all these different slides up there, and she was talking about the droplets, and if the third droplet can hit another droplet, and I'm like, this is what actual people are doing.
Yeah,
with their
she
lives.
went into great detail. It was pretty clear that she was a lot smarter than most of us in the room. At that point.
Wanted to yell out when you got up, "Good luck!"
But nonetheless, it was a pretty cool moment. I got to share. Go ahead.
I just put a blog up on 97.3thefansd.com. Just a few pictures, nothing special, but there is a video of Tony singing the fight song with his crew.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not remember the fight song off the top of my head. It wasn't that I didn't remember the actual song. I couldn't remember like the cadence, like the beat that it went. I couldn't remember it at all. So I was glad I had the piece of paper, and I was glad I had some current students leading the way because I would have been in trouble if it was left to me to be the leader of that.
That was
unbelievably so. I quizzed Skraby on his fight song, and he said he knew it.
I sang it for him.
Who knows their fight song?
Roll it, roll it, roll it. As our futures growing, keep the courage flowing. Rawhide.
Oh, you guys stole
Quitting
it.
is never. We always stick together, knowing that we're standing side by side. I'm done because this is really embarrassing.
Yeah, I didn't. Safe to say, I didn't know it the way Skraby knows his. There's no doubt.
So you have that video,
his.
And then you have a couple other pictures of Tony. Tony, you know his speech, got me a little. There was a little dusty in the room. I'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got choked up. I did. I got choked up also.
I didn't even really get
a good job.
It's quiet as kept. I didn't even really get to finish the speech because I couldn't keep my stuff together up there. So
I was also concerned about some of the audio visual stuff that was happening in the room because the one microphone wasn't working.
Yeah.
And it just me being the guy that I am, and they're right behind me. I just wanted to go over there and try to help them.
Were you twitching a little
bit?
I was
over there? A little bit. I told Chris this is like my worst nightmare.
I can see that. All right, we got a GBU to get to here. Do we have traffic? No, we don't have none of that. Let's just get right to it. Good, bad, the ugly. Chris Ello.
All right, thank you, Tony Gwynn Jr., you Hall of Famer. Yeah, all right, there we go. Is that worthy of a promo? Like, is that worthy of a promo?
No.
Come on. All right, good. Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills, Sunday night football, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to think the Bengals might be the class of the AFC. I know that right now they're only 5-3, but now that Joe Burrow is healthy and throwing for 350 yards like he did last night, the dangerous Bengals keep on rolling.
Joe has the ball. Under pressure, dumps it out short. Caught. Drew Sample has a first down to the 10. The 5 toward the pylon. He's in. Touchdown.
Beautiful.
Bengals. Drew Sample.
Is he adding the giggle now too?
It just sounds like he's
Dave
just
Lapham.
sitting back enjoying the game now.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to hear a lot more of him as the season goes on. The Bengals are hot. They beat the Bills 24-18 last night. The best performance of the weekend was turned in by a rookie, C.J. Stroud, set a rookie record, 470 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and he rallied the Texans to a thrilling win over Tampa Bay.
Stroud in the gun, empty backfield after motion. First down to the Bucks 15. 10 seconds to go. CJ gets the snap. CJ looking, throwing to the end zone. Touchdown! Takes the lead. Down with the reception.
Oh my gosh, can that
Was
guy?
he clapping?
Maybe I'm sure you love the over-modulation on that call.
I mean, you can calm down a little bit, sir.
That young man is playing some football right now. He made some unbelievable throws, and he spread the ball all around. He's doing his thing. He got a good. He's good.
Yeah,
He has a good first year head coach too, or second year head. Is it first year? No, first year head coach.
Yeah, first year. Yeah,
D'Amico Ryans. Yeah. Houston beats Tampa Bay 39-37. The other good belonged to the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk, who? It was Josh Dobbs who led the Vikings to their 4th straight win, even after he didn't take any reps all week in practice. Dobbs turned in a spectacular performance to beat the Falcons.
Josh Dobbs goes out of the shotgun, puts Brandon Powell in motion. 4 receivers. Dobbs looks left, shakes the shoulders, gets away from the pressure right, pumps on a Falcons linebacker, shakes the tackle at the 15-10. Touchdown! Josh Dobbs!
Beautiful run by Josh Dobbs. He threw for 2, ran for 1. The Vikings beat the Falcons 31-28.
How about the fact that, as you mentioned, he didn't have any snaps at all, but he was asked by Kevin if where his comfort level was, and just from doing his studying, he said the game plan sheet, I'm good. Anything, third down, short plays, 2 minutes, and that's just a testament to this young man pulling up on short notice. And although he wasn't able to take the reps, he sounded like he took a bunch of mental reps, understanding what was being asked. And I mean, that buys you a lot of cachet when you're coming to a new team. I mean, I saw him at one point during the game taking snaps because they hadn't heard his cadence at all. Yeah. And so in real time, he's on the sideline taking snaps, giving real calls as the offensive linemen are kind of huddled around him listening. I just thought that was a really tremendous performance.
He has to have bought himself a starting spot somewhere in this league, right?
I mean, I don't know if he's
starting for the Vikings.
Well, he's definitely going to start for the Vikings. I'm just saying.
I'm talking about long term. At least give him a chance to show what he can do. He's pretty good. I gotta say.
The NFL is certainly cutthroat enough to where there's no guarantees of anything.
No, I know.
But I will say he had to have bought some cachet with the new guys that he's about to lead easily.
Yeah. The other thing it proved to me is just how overrated football practice is. Guys are out here practicing all week long, and a guy comes in, doesn't know any plays, and wins a football game.
I always think of that one play of John Gruden trying to tell it to Chris Sims, and Chris Sims could not get it right.
That made me feel real. I can't listen to the whole thing.
I know, because it's
at one
John
point,
Gruden.
He just gives up. He's like, what is it again?
Oh, and he's like, what is wrong with you? It's XY, Spider Monkey, Banana Z3. I'm like, okay, coach.
It was a heck of a lot longer than that, too.
Yeah, it was. All right, that's the good. Here's the bad. And the leading department of the bad is the Miami Dolphins. They continue to look like a Corvette against bad teams and like a jalopy against the good teams. Tua Tagovailoa and company struggled mightily on offense, and while they were struggling, Patrick Mahomes was doing his thing in Germany.
Mahomes retreated, pressure on the outside, dumps it. McKinnon at the 15-10. McKinnon, the Jet, 5, touchdown! Kansas City! The Jet has flown all the way
way across the Atlantic and into the end zone. A 17-yard route out of the backfield by Jerick McKinnon, and the Chiefs have a 2-touchdown lead.
Chiefs would get to a 3-touchdown lead before a late Miami rally, but the Dolphins frittered away their final opportunity with Tua fumbling a snap from center. My goodness, come on now. Kansas City beats Miami 21-14. Also not looking very good this week was the NFC West leading Seattle Seahawks. They lost their grip on first place in the division after they were run over by Lamar Jackson and the suddenly powerhouse Baltimore Ravens.
Mark Andrews alone, split to the left. Inside handoff. Keaton Mitchell breaks the tackle. He's to the 35, 30. He's leg race 20. Rookie to the 10. Touchdown, Ravens. Keaton Mitchell.
The Raiders.
I thought he
like
was going to
that.
say that. He said Ravens, but I was like,
oh,
wait.
he said Ravens. Okay.
Like, what is that? What, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Keaton Mitchell proves to me that John Harbaugh's running attack is just like no other in the National Football League, because it seems like they can plug anybody in there and they can run for big yardage. I don't want to take anything away from this young man. He had a great game, but I'd never heard of him before the game. And
he's been on my bench for like 4 weeks now. So.
Sitting on your bench, you may have to bring him off your bench.
I might.
Baltimore blows out Seattle 37-3 1 week after they blew out Detroit. The Ravens are 7-2 and looking very good. The Seahawks fall into a first-place tie with the idle 49ers. Also in the bad category, Frank Reich and the Carolina Panthers. They have the league's worst record after they were handled by Reich's former squad. The Indianapolis Colts beat them 27-13. On we go to the ugly, and there was plenty of ugly in the National Football League yesterday, led by the New York Football Giants, who again lose their quarterback, Daniel Jones, who again show nothing on offense, and the Las Vegas Raiders seem like they have a rebirth without Josh McDaniels.
O'Connell's under center. Jacobs the lone tailback. Snap. Handoff Jacobs. Cuts in the hole. Right side at the 1. Pushing forward. Touchdown Raiders. Josh Jacobs caps off a wonderful drive.
Raiders blow out the New York Football Giants 30-6. Antonio Pierce has a win in his coaching debut. Josh McDaniels had to be watching this game, if he was watching it at all, going, where was this when I was the coach? You know what, coach? You just weren't capable of bringing it out of them. The Raiders looked like a pretty good team yesterday, actually.
I mean, what do you know? They gave the ball to they tried to get the ball to their best players. They just played they played inspired yesterday. That's a lot of points for that Raiders team.
It's the most points they've scored all year.
I don't think they've been up there anywhere close to that under Josh McDaniels. Speaking of scoring points, the Arizona Cardinals didn't get any. The Clayton Tune era began and probably ended with 58 yards passing and 2 interceptions, and the Cleveland Browns frolicked in an easy victory.
Yeah. Ford in the backfield with Watson on third down. Back to throw, middle of the end zone. Throws to Njoku for the score. David Njoku with a touchdown grab from Deshaun Watson.
That always does my heart good. Deshaun Watson threw a TD pass.
You know that it definitely has ended, because there's already reports that Kyler Murray, assuming he doesn't have a setback, will start next week. So it came and went.
That's a hang with him for Clayton. Is it Clayton Tune? Because he went up against one of the strongest defenses in the NFL with barely a team. So
hey, as it is in most professional sports, there's an opportunity, a window of opportunity. You got to seize it, or it could close very fast.
Yeah, it sounds like it closed on him. The final ugly yesterday was the former Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. They won the title 2 years ago. Now they continue to pay for recent signings that they made to win that Super Bowl. With no Matthew Stafford, the Rams were no match for the mediocre Packers.
Dillon to the right side of the quarterback glove. Jones in the slot right now. He orbit routes to the left, and they fake the pass to Jones. Swing it over the middle. Musgrave, 10, the end zone. Touchdown.
Wayne Larrabee is a really excellent play-by-play announcer. That call is not going to go in his personal
I was just thinking, he had a really hard time figuring out where that ball was.
He had a really hard time figuring that out. Packers beat the Rams 20-3. What is the Rams record now, Skraby? 3-6, 2-7.
I couldn't tell you. It's not good. But I'm ready for Sean McVay to do a pull a Sean McVay from last year again. And
what's that?
Start threatening to quit.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chris, for putting that out there. Because he did that last year when they started getting bad.
It goes to show you just how hard the quarterback position is in the NFL. I mean, these guys come in there off the bench and they just look like they don't even belong in the league. I mean, that New York Giants quarterback, what's his name? Tommy
DeVito.
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito.
Hey, you see that kid Tommy DeVito yesterday, man? That kid can't play quarterback.
Not very well, and neither can the Rams backup. I don't know.
What was that?
It was every time I hear Tommy DeVito, I'm like, that's a perfect name for a New York Giants quarterback. And I can just imagine the guys around the water cooler be like, man, that Tommy DeVito got nothing.
I don't think the New York Giants think he's the perfect quarterback for the New York Giants.
I hope
but he's going to have to be because they've lost Daniel Jones now to a torn ACL. They've lost Tyrod Taylor. So the Giants look like they are 2-7 and going south from there. Yeah. All right, that wraps up the good, the bad, and the ugly this week. Good job on the highlights, Mr. Skraby.
Thanks, good job.
So, what did you guys think of the Dolphins game in general? Are you as heartbroken or not? I'm not heartbroken. I'm just so down on them.
I'm not as down
on miserable performance.
Yeah, I'm not as down on them as you are. They certainly didn't play well offensively. Give the Chiefs some credit. They're a much better defense this year than they have been, I think, at probably any time in this run that they've had. I was encouraged once again by the Dolphins defense. I thought they gave up that 21 pretty quick and then didn't give up anything the rest of the ball game. But you know, I think your head coach hit on it.
Mike McDaniel.
He said, you know, if you want to change the narrative, you got to actually do something about it. Change it. You got to go out. You got to win against the good teams. You got to continue to do the things against the bad teams, but you got to start winning against the good teams. I think it seems simple, but when you have some leadership like that, I think it's going to change. I'm not sold on Tua, but I'm probably not as down on him as you are right now, Chris.
I think they're the worst team in the AFC right now. So no, I was actually pretty surprised that because when the Chiefs went down and scored that 7 points really quick, I was like, uh-oh, this is gonna be a bad day for the Dolphins.
It's gonna be ugly.
And then they got together. They need to figure out how to get Tyreek is obviously going to be triple teamed, but they need to figure out how to get him the ball because that's really how they win.
When he had two guys on him, he found a way. I don't know if you guys saw that play. He signaled to Tua, I got two on me, and then still beat the double team.
See, that is pretty awesome. But anyway.
Either that or maybe Jalen Waddle ought to get open once in a while.
That too.
Yeah, we haven't heard much from Jade.
All right. Daily Gambit next. 97.3 The Fan.
Tuesday show will look in on Major League Baseball free agency. Padres hiring a manager, and we'll recap a big night in college basketball.
Listen to the John Quintero Show weekdays from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 On 97.3 The Fan.
Welcome into the 3 o'clock hour. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris LO, no longer on the show. He has gone away. He's gone away to get ready for his broadcast here tonight. Women's Aztec team taking on the Portland Pilots out in Portland. So it's just me and Matthew Skraby.
He'll be back, though, for the Big Five. That's right. At the end of the hour.
Coming back for the Big Five. Some other news we've gone over today. Craig Counsell, the new just manager of the Cubs. Gosh, that was difficult.
See his contract?
I did not.
40 years or 40
years.
That's a lot. That's a great contract for him.
My
5
Lord.
years, $40 million. So $8 million a year, which apparently is a pretty big deal for a manager. I didn't realize that they didn't make $8 million. I thought they would have made $8 million.
No, that's part of the new, like, managers' numbers all of a sudden being public again. There was like I would say about a 10-year span there for maybe like 2008, maybe to 2020, where you weren't getting numbers.
That's weird.
Well, it's weird if you were used to getting them, but then it went quiet. You would just get the years. And I think teams were they were bringing managerial numbers gradually down, which is why you didn't hear. But now some of these managers have, built up such a reputation. You're going to have to pay good money. In this case, you had to probably pay him more because the Mets were lurking to sign him. And so in this case, the numbers become a little bit more public than we're used to seeing.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. Like the whole Craig Counsell thing kind of confuses me. Like why? I know we've talked about why the Padres would let Bob Melvin interview with the Giants, but the Brewers and the Cubs, like they're going to be battling for the division for years to come. Like, why would the Brewers want that? Why would they want to give him the opportunity to interview with a team in their division? That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense with the Padres
either Craig decided, he had done all he set out to do, or maybe want a new change, or the Brewers didn't want to pay him what
that could be.
The Cubs have decided to pay him.
Good point.
Or the Mets have. I mean, it's the same Brewer team that traded Josh Hader right in the midst of being in playoff contention.
That's true.
And we watched their season, at least that season, which was the 2022 season, go the wrong way. Now, they proved out to be correct in their assessment because they got back to the playoffs that year. Now, they were ousted in the first round, but nonetheless, they got there. So
you did you play on the same team with Craig Counsell?
Yes,
okay.
I did.
What makes him a good manager?
His temperament. He played, so he gets it, and he wasn't like a superstar. So, he had to do a lot of things really good because he wasn't like the best athlete on the team.
Yeah.
And he's one of the smartest baseball people I've ever had a chance to be around. So
I'm finding that when you are a player and you become a manager, it seems to me that a lot of the good managers, player managers, were the ones that weren't the best.
Well, you have to be able to relate to everybody. And typically those are the people that they relate to, the guys who don't play every day, and they can relate to the big dogs because they're respected because they go out and they do their job well, even if it's not on an everyday basis. So it's clear he's had a lot of success in Milwaukee, and I'm sure he's going to continue to have a ton of success in Chicago. All right, we have our daily gambit. Score Turkey Day touchdown when you shop your whole feast in one trip, and that's at Smart and Final. Use promo code SF Thanks. Why is it SF Thanks?
That's the code they gave a Smart and Final Thanks.
Ah, there you go. I was thinking San Francisco. So
me too. When I read it.
SF Thanks. All one word for free delivery on your next order. All right, let's play some daily gambit.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Just a reminder, we are on the camera, so if you want to join us and watch our show, you can go to YouTube, type in 97.3 The Fan. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page for our station because it'll bring up all the live shows that we do as well as Ben and Woods.
Stay tuned on your Daily Gambit. It won't be today, but I'm sure by tomorrow we'll be having some type of Daily Gambit on the odds for the finalists that are being announced right now.
For the Cy Young.
For Cy Young, for MVP.
Okay, so these are just the finalists.
These are just the finalists.
Kevin Gossman looks like he's won.
I mean, he's dressed up pretty really nice on a Monday.
He is.
For this not to be one of the finalists, but he's the first face we see on TV. So we'll figure out who those are. Probably have it for a Daily Gambit sometime this week.
I like it. Also, on the stream, someone said they like Tony's shirt. It's a nice San Diego Padres shirt. It looks good.
Yeah,
looks good.
I can't remember who gave. Oh, one of the young ladies I worked with at Bally.
Okay.
I think it was a gift. So
very nice.
I get a lot of San Diego Padre gifts. Believe it or not, I know I work for them, and you would think probably don't need any Padre gear, but this one's unique, right? This isn't one you're gonna get at the Padre store. So yeah, thank you for.
You hear that, everybody out there? You can't have it.
No, I didn't say that. I just said you're not gonna find it at the Padre store. Nonetheless, thank you for the compliment.
Yes.
Everybody.
All right, let's go and review the bets that we did last week. My 4-leg parlay started like this: Iowa and Northwestern. They needed to be under 30.5, and I believe it was like 13-7. I didn't even check to see what the actual score was.
This is what we come to now. You have 4-game or 5-game or 3-game parlays, and you don't even check them?
Well, because I had talked to Chris, and he had confirmed that they were not they didn't go over. So I'm going to look for the score right now, and it is got to go back a week. This is a disaster. Gosh dang it, Matt. Oh, there it is. Iowa 10, Northwestern 7. So they were under the 30.5, which was the lowest point total in history of college football, really. Utah State minus 2.5 over the Aztecs here on Saturday night. The Aztecs did force some overtime, but they ended up losing Utah State 32-24. So I won that one. The Raiders beat the Giants by a lot. All they needed to do was beat them by 2. And then Chris's dumb Dolphins needed one more leg for this to cash. Over 50.5 total points for the Dolphins and the Chiefs. They only combined for 35 points. So that's where the
fell
parlay
a little
ends.
short.
Should have just stopped at the 3-leg parlay, as you guys tried to get me to do. Wyoming, Colorado State over the weekend. Wyoming 6.5-point favorites. Tony and I chose Wyoming. Wyoming did beat Colorado State by 9, 24-15. So we went on that one. San Diego State and Utah State, we were kind of shocked about the over-under of 57 in this game. All of us went under, and all of us won, but it was a total of 56 points.
We barely won.
Like, these odds makers, Chris and I would say it all the time. How do they know? They know something. They have the almanac in front of them. But we won that bet as well. Tyreek Hill over under 94.5 receiving plus rushing yards. All of us went over, and he only had 65 combined yards, so didn't happen there. Denver, 6-point favorites over the Mavs on Friday. Chris and I chose the Nuggets. The Nuggets did win 125-114, so they covered as well. And then Bulls player Zach LaVine over under 25.5 points. You and Chris, Tony, said over. I said under. Zach LaVine had 24 points in that one.
Just under.
Just under. There's a lot of just unders there. All right.
It's funny. I got home. This was probably the only bet I remembered from our Daily Gambit.
The Zach LaVine?
The Zach LaVine's. And so it's safe to say I wasn't very happy that he fell just short.
No. There was a lot of talk about the courts in the NBA over the weekend. Like, people were not a fan of those courts. I don't know how you ended up with it, Tony, seeing all the different games, but were you okay with those courts in the end?
Yeah. I mean, some of them are ugly. Straight up.
Yeah.
But some of them I like. I like the Bulls. I like the all red.
You can get away with all red.
I hated Charlotte's.
I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, you did. No, was that Dallas?
That was
who were we watching?
We were Milwaukee.
Didn't like Milwaukee.
Yeah.
There were some I liked, some I didn't.
Well, there were a lot of NBA fans kind of Like, what are you guys doing?
I mean, it's. I think James Worthy. I was watching the Laker game, and I think he said it best. He said, they're not really trying to catch the eyes of 40 and over.
That's true.
They're really only out trying to get the approval.
But I feel like people 40 and over are the ones that are going to complain the most these days.
We definitely are the ones who are going to complain the most.
So they should probably think about the 40 and over as well, a little bit. But anyway. So here are some of the bets that hit over the weekend. This one's crazy. This person put down $5, and it was for Cole Kmet, tight end of the Bears, to score 2+ touchdowns. Cade Otton to score 2+ touchdowns for the Bucks. Both of them had 2 touchdowns. This bet paid out plus $207,300, so that $5 turned into $10,370. I mean, that's a $5 you pretty much are just giving away in your head. Cole Kmet and Cade Otton together having 2 touchdowns is crazy. Irv Smith Jr., someone bet him to be the first touchdown scorer in the game last night between the Bengals and the Bills. It was a plus $2,800 bet, or plus $2,800 odd bet. 107 to, they bet $107. They won $3,107. So I'm just bringing these up because this is how crazy betting can be. No one in their right mind should ever bet Irv Smith Jr. to be the first scorer of the game, but he was, and they won their bet.
$107.15 seems like a weird number to say, you know what? That seems like that's all I got type money.
That tells me that they gamble too much because they have equations. They have equations.
$7.15.
Like I was reading up on this.
People wanted a cool $3,107.35. That's what he was looking for on the way back.
No, he was probably has a computer program that tells him. He says, "Here's $500. Tell me what to bet on," and it says you should bet $107.15 on this. But it's kind of crazy. You might be right, though. This person may have just been like, here's the rest of my money. That's all I got. I'm going on this.
15 cents. Like, I got a dime and a nickel in my pocket. Here, throw that on top.
I'm going to mail it to you, DraftKings. Another one would be Odell Beckham Jr. He was a plus 390 to score a touchdown for the Ravens. He did score a touchdown for the Ravens yesterday. Someone bet $10,000 that he was going to score a touchdown for the Ravens yesterday. So they ended up winning $49,000 on this bet. That's just crazy. $10,000 on Odell scoring a touchdown.
He got it.
Yeah, that's not good. Yesterday, there was a bunch of bad beats in the Cowboys and Eagles game. The Cowboys almost scored twice, and the 2-point conversion was Dak out of bounds, and then the touchdown that was called back was a tight end, and so they were plus 3.5, and all the bettors were wanting them to get those touchdowns. Never ended up happening. So Cowboys, bad beat. Now,
hang with them.
The only bet I have for tonight, since Chris is not with us right now, James Harden makes his debut with the Sixers. His over/under is 14.5 points tonight. Tony,
that's the only bet you got, huh?
Yeah.
The guy you hate talking about on the show the most.
Yep.
You're going to use him as your get out of jail free card here because you didn't have another bet.
I shouldn't. After the way you paint that picture, yes, it does sound really bad.
You're just using him. All right. I'm going to say that's actually a good number for his first.
Really? I thought this was he's a system, so he's going to score 75 points.
If James is on his normal James Harden stuff, he would eviscerate this 14.5. But I have a feeling he's going to be on good behavior. I'm just throwing it out there now. I'm going to say just over.
Okay. Just over is not a guess, but over is. I think he's going to shoot 6 for 20 and still go over.
Have some free throws in there.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll check on that tomorrow. But
all right,
there's
our daily gambit for the day. We'll get to break. When we come back, a little Aztec basketball talk. Jay Billis had some things to say about the Aztecs. We'll get to it when we return. More Gwynn and Chris. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Closed near 58.
Weather brought to you by Love what you find only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly. E21.
The biggest fan contest is returning November 13th. Visit 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. Register your name and then listen at 9:15 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 5 p.m. during each fan talk show. If you hear your name called, call us back within 10 minutes and you'll qualify for our grand prize. 20 tickets to a 2024 Padres game in the Odyssey Suite to watch a Padres game with your friends and all of the fans hosts. Matt Skraby here, Tony Gwynn Jr. here, Chris Ello in Portland, but he'll be back for the Big Five in about 20 minutes or so. And we need to talk about the Aztecs. Before we do that, though, I wanted to shout out Uber driver Tommy. He is unfortunately in the car with my brother right now, and I'm sorry about that.
You always got to take a shot at your big bro, man.
He's my little brother, but
oh, sorry, little bro.
Yeah, he's my brother texted me and said he's a big fan of the show, and he says that I take too much of a beating from you guys.
Who said
you
that?
And Chris? Tommy, the Uber driver.
Tommy, don't be fooled by this guy, man. He I tell you what, you not only are you coming into your own in terms of popularity around the city, but you have pulled off the ultimate Houdini trick. I'm starting to put this all together. You have somehow made folks believe that we are constantly on your head. And although part of that is true, we are constantly on your head, it is with good reason.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Oh, see,
you know how many people told me
at
your
Hall
you do
really
thing?
well. You play this character very well.
It's not a character. It's a reality, man. You know how many people came to me at the Hall of Fame induction and said, "Love the show, love you three, wish they were nicer to you."
Yeah.
I'm like, me too.
You know, the more interesting part of that is it hasn't stopped them from listening. So clearly there's something about it that they enjoy.
One of the gentlemen that I met, he said that he loves when Chris and I fight. And I was like, I don't love that. I'm sorry.
I must say, even as one of you guys' partners, I kind of enjoy it on occasion.
On
too.
occasion,
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes it gets
I
a little
specifically
too far.
like the ones when you're actually pissed off.
Yeah.
Or Chris is actually pissed off.
Yeah, my dad did something over the weekend that legitimately made me angry. And I won't admit what it was, but it was
I'm laughing because I already know what it was.
I think I'll just sorry,
Dad. Are you gonna roll your dad under the bus, man?
He created a very bad smell.
Oh,
and
he just rolled his dad under the semi truck.
And I was like, really?
Shame on you,
And I
Scrag.
got so angry, I got up and I left the room cursing him.
First of all, shame on you for just
Sorry, Dad.
rolling your dad under the bus. The man just had surgery not that long ago.
Yeah.
And you're just rolling him under the bus. Secondly, one of my all-time favorite things to laugh at is when somebody, as you said, creates a
foul odor
that is so foul that a person can go from completely fine and happy to pissed off. It's honestly one of the funnier things. If you ever have seen somebody like catch a whiff and go from calm to pissed off in like 0 to 10, it is
that was me
honestly
yesterday.
One of the funniest things. So I can imagine rolling on the ground laughing at you, but I can also imagine you being
you would be
infuriated.
rolling on the ground, but you would also be choking from the smell. I mean, it was.
I can't believe you did your dad like that, man.
Sorry, Dad, but I told you I was so mad yesterday that I was going to do something drastic.
He's still taking out revenge on his pops.
I did. All right. We went into the break and we said we're going to talk about the Aztecs real quick. The Aztecs football team lost 32-24 in overtime. Another tough one. This season has been a tough one, but we'll talk more about them later in the week. But the Aztecs, Jay Billis, ESPN's college basketball guy, ranking the Aztecs at 25th in this year, or to start this year. He said he likes the team. He likes Coach Dutcher. He thinks that they're a team that could go far, but they've lost too many pieces, and they're going to have a hard time after losing Nathan Mensah and him leaving the team, because he was a guy who was huge defensively for them.
Listen, I think we talked about this with Coach Velasquez last week. The fact that, and especially, I don't know if everybody else noticed it, but I noticed when the Aztecs played on CBS or when they played on a national standpoint, Menzel was the guy that they most of the time focused on because of his defensive prowess. And I don't think there's any secret that piece is going to be very, very tough to replace. But I think, I don't disagree with Jay very often, but I think he's selling this Aztec team a little short right now, as I think a lot of people are, quite frankly. And so, again, it's always going to be washed out on the court. We'll figure out what's true and what's not. But it does seem like people are not putting a lot of stock into the players that they have returning.
Yeah, I mean, those guys got some pretty invaluable experience last year going to the national championship. You got Lamont Butler, who hits a game-winning shot to send them to the national championship. I don't think those things are something to like discount, because you can't get that experience without actually having to do it. And now when you go play a big game in Utah State or something, you have experience to draw on by playing in the national championship. I think that goes a lot further than people are giving them credit for too. But they open the season tonight. They are actually number 17 in the polls. Jay Billis was just saying he's 25, but they're going to play Cal State Fullerton at Viejas Arena tonight. They're going to raise their banners honoring its 2023 Mountain West regular season and tournament titles. Did you see the ring that they're getting, Tony, for the Mountain West title?
I did not.
It looks like a Super Bowl ring.
Good.
It is incredible.
I love it.
It's incredible.
That's something that, that's how it should be when you go to a national championship.
Well, it wasn't for that. It was the Mountain West title.
Oh, this is for the Mountain West.
Yeah, I didn't think you get a ring for
no, you don't
going
get a ring
to the
for
national
that.
championship
no,
game. But the Mountain West title
that's
was
what was in my
it's
head.
like a Super Bowl ring.
Good for them.
Yeah, no, they deserve it. They won it.
I'm sure that ring is aided by the long run to the national champ. It may not be a national championship ring, but I'm willing to go. I haven't seen the ring, but I'm willing to go out on a limb and say this ring looks better than the other Mountain West championship rings that have been in the past.
I had to stop the video that I was watching to see what the ring was for. Was it for the national championship? But no, it was for the Mountain West. So they're going to get those rings tonight. They're going to raise a banner tonight, and we will talk about it tomorrow. Chris will be joining us when we get back. We have the Big Five, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, but the Padres are expected to name someone as the manager of AAA El Paso. I will ask them a question about that person during the Big Five next on 97.3 The Fan.
Skiers and snowboarders, Snow Jam is this Friday through Sunday at the fairgrounds. Get free and
check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we still got a Big Five today, even though Chris is up there in Portland, a place I have still never been, and I will go one day. We'll see about getting up there to Portland. Chris, would you recommend it?
If you like rain, it's the Northwest. It's rained the entire time we've been here.
So I do like rain.
That's kind of life in Portland. I have a feeling is spent walking underneath an umbrella.
Okay. I need to get a nice umbrella then before I go. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, you do.
Number 5.
Now, the Padres made a bunch of moves over the weekend. We've talked about some of them, but they are expected to name Mike Daly as the manager of AAA El Paso. Daly has never coached at the professional level, although he has extensive experience working with A.J. Preller. This is all according to Dennis Lynn. Daly spent 15 years in the Ranger front office, helping to oversee international scouting and player development, and eventually rising to the position of assistant general manager. He came back he reunited with A.J. Preller 2 years ago after being reassigned by Texas general manager Chris Young and receiving permission to interview with the Padres. So, Chris, do you need coaching experience to manage a team?
No, I mean, everybody's got to be a coach for the first time, right? Or a manager for the first time. So, I mean, I at one time, Dusty Baker had no experience, and same goes for Bruce Bochy, believe it or not. So, a lot of guys can be successful their first time around. A lot of guys need a couple of opportunities before they get it figured out. But I can hear Padre fans already saying, oh, no, here we go again. Another hire from somebody from the old Texas Rangers organization where A.J. Preller used to be. But right now, hiring away from Texas is probably not a bad thing considering what they just accomplished this year. So, I give this guy an opportunity. Look, if he sees eye to eye with A.J. Preller, that's a step in the right direction. Right. Having your AAA manager be in line with your big league general manager. So let's hope that it's a good relationship.
Tony, do you need coaching experience to manage a team?
No, I think Chris is right. Everybody has to start somewhere. And in this case, he's actually starting in the minor leagues. I mean, we've had guys take over big league teams that didn't have any managerial experience prior to. So, I think it works. I think it works just to, at least, as Chris said, give him an opportunity to see how he does. If he does have the same baseball ideology, I think that's a step in the right direction, as Chris said. So, yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to have experience in order to manage. When you're doing those type of jobs like international scouting and player development, you already are kind of in the trenches anyway. You kind of already know the lingo, know the way you have to approach a player in order to get that message across. So now you're having to do it on a daily basis, and you'll see how it goes.
I guess it surprised me a little bit that he had Dennis Lynn was reporting that he had no professional experience, manager, coach, or player at any levels, and so that's why it surprised me. But you guys do make a case. I mean,
you said he had player development in
yes, he's
in
definitely
Texas. So,
part of that. Yeah,
I mean that's not necessarily
that's what he's doing,
managing. But now it's the same thing, but it's on a more specific, consistent level, right? I mean, if you're a part of player director, you're not necessarily making contact with players every single day, but players know when you're in town, you have different conversations. He's just going to have to do this on a case by case basis. He's going to have to do it on a everyday basis. So yeah, he may not have any managerial experience, but he has experience in dealing with players.
All right.
Number 4.
Number 2 overall pick in last year's NFL draft, C.J. Stroud is doing some big things this year. Yesterday, the Texans offense had 75 yards to go with very little time. He was able to drive him down the field, throw a touchdown. The Texans won while he set the record for most passing yards in a game by a rookie in NFL history with 470 yards. against the Bucks yesterday. He also threw 5 touchdowns. He also is sitting on every one of my fantasy benches.
Yes, he was.
I mean, what am I going to do? I would never start him anyway right now. But now I may be starting him going forward. The Panthers, as we all know, selected Bryce Young out of Alabama, number 1 overall, and they've said that they aren't second guessing their decision, but he has not been as successful as Stroud has to start their careers. Tony, when do you start getting nervous if you're the Panthers about your choice?
I don't think it's no time to get nervous. It's so early. It's not often that you can be the second pick and be the steal of the draft, but that's what it's looking like right now. On Bryce Young's tip, he hasn't played poorly, though. It's just that C.J. Stroud have had some big games. I mean, the 400 yards in yesterday's game. He had another big one earlier this year. So those type of numbers tend to become headlines, and you tend to talk about it a little bit more. And his team, quite frankly, is having a little bit more success than Bryce Young. So, but I don't necessarily think that means Bryce Young is not playing well. He missed, I think, a game earlier because of injury. Outside of that, he's had a couple really nice games, not huge numbers wise, but has played well. And so I don't think the Panthers have anything to necessarily be looking back or regretting at this point. I think it's well too early. Let's get through these first couple seasons and see. Because listen, C.J. Stroud could very well go on to win the Rookie of the Year. Could very well go on to have a much better year than Bryce Young. But what happens in year 2? Can Bryce Young close the gap if that's the case? I think it's just too early to make that determination.
That is one thing you guys have beat into me, is that it's too early. Even though it looks nice to throw for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns, I got to wait a little bit. Chris, when do you start getting nervous if you're the Panthers?
Well, I think a couple of things. First of all, Bryce Young is playing like a rookie quarterback, and he's having the ups and downs of a normal rookie quarterback. C.J. Stroud is not playing like a rookie quarterback, and that's the difference between the two. But when they went head-to-head a couple of weeks ago in Carolina, Bryce Young won the game. So he's got that going for him. Now, having said that, a big fat I told you so to every one of the analysts, the draft analysts who told us ad nauseum that Bryce Young was clearly the better quarterback than C.J. Stroud. And if you're an NFL draft analyst, you know who you are. Every single one of them, right up and down the line, said Bryce Young is the no-doubt first pick in the draft. He's going to be better than C.J. Stroud. He's more prepared than C.J. Stroud. Tony and I and you, Skraby, all said, what about the size difference? Can Bryce Young really get it done being so much smaller than C.J. Stroud? Right now, C.J. Stroud is looking, as Tony said, like the steal of the draft. I'm happy to say we told you so.
He had to get that off his chest right there.
I've been waiting all year for that.
I feel like you were talking directly to Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay and those
all
guys.
Of them. Every single one of them, man. You know, you were watching that stuff. Every one of them said Bryce Young's going to be better, and maybe he will someday, but not yet.
Not yet.
Number 3.
My favorite NBA player, James Harden, is going to make his long-awaited debut for the Clippers. I mean, he's been on the team for a week now. I think he hasn't even played. But anyway, he's making his debut for the Clippers tonight in New York against the Knicks, and it seems like most of the crew for the Clippers is going to be involved tonight. So, Chris, what do you think is going to happen with this team?
I think they're playing the Knicks tonight in New York, and what I think is going to happen is James Harden's going to score 97 points and not pass the ball.
He's a system, not a system player. He's a system.
Because that's what everybody's expecting it to be, right? They're expecting Harden to go in there and just be the worst teammate on earth and not throw the ball to anybody, take every shot, control the game from start to finish, not involve Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, or Russell Westbrook. So, let's put that out there. But no, I would think James Harden will ease his way into it. He may not ease his way into situations off the court, but on the court, James Harden's pretty comfortable and pretty crafty player. So, I think it's going to be a while before the Clippers click. I wonder what will happen come postseason, with all of this talent and only one ball to go around. But I think for the time being, James Harden will fit in nicely.
Tony, what do you think is going to happen with this Clippers team?
I think that James Harden is going to be on his best behavior. I think at this point, there's got to be a part of him or his team that knows that he's not going to get another, mulligan if it doesn't work out in Los Angeles at this point. I think teams won't be as willing at this point. And, you kind of get indications about that based on the lack of interest when he was on the trade market coming from Philly. There wasn't a whole bunch of teams that, at least reportedly, that were willing to go out and make a move for him. And so I think he'll I don't know how it'll actually fit. I have my questions in terms of, Russell Westbrook seemingly is back to his normal self. He's comfortable there. And now you throw another dude into the mix who generally has the ball in his hand and needs to control it. How is that gonna work? I think the Clippers, minus Harden, were already going to have a good season if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were healthy. Now you throw this, got 4 dudes who are going to be Hall of Famers when it's all said and done. I just have a feeling James is going to be on his best behavior here in Los Angeles.
All right, we'll see what happens. All begins tonight.
Number 2.
Caleb Williams and USC lost another high-scoring affair over the weekend, this time to the Washington Huskies. And after the game, the cameras caught Caleb Williams heading over to his family in the stands and crying after the loss. That is not the issue for me. In the post-game presser, he was asked about the emotion and said, quote, "I want to go home and cuddle with my dog and watch some shows. Like, we just lost the game. I work hard throughout months, years to have big games like this. Try and go win and play your best, each and every one of us. We came out with a loss today, so emotionally, I want to go home and I want to play with my dog." I can understand that. Actually.
Where is your problem? You said that's not what you have a problem with.
The problem is this.
Here we go.
After this whole thing, many brought back the tweet from last year that Caleb Williams sent that quoted a video of Texas Tech quarterback Max Duggan crying after the Big 12 championship game. Caleb Williams quote tweeted and said, "LOL." So now he's crying on the sidelines after saying laugh out loud to a guy who was crying. And Tony, what do you think of the display of Caleb? Let me start that over. So, Tony, what do you think of the display of emotion from Caleb Williams over the weekend?
I don't really think much of it. I think that it was a tough loss, and this is like the third in like 4 weeks for him.
Yeah, you should get used to these.
And so maybe it was a little bit emotional. You bring the quote tweet and last year's post is brought up as it pertains to this. We don't know what LOL meant in terms of, we assumed that it was meant, ha ha, you're crying. Could have been ha ha, you guys lost. That's what it could have been about, considering it was probably one of those bigger games.
It's a weird thing to quote tweet, though.
I mean, to each his own. For those who are in the drama field and enjoy making up or connecting dots, have at it. But I don't think this is much of anything.
All right. Chris, what do you think about the display of emotion from Caleb Williams over the weekend?
I like a display of emotion. I don't think because you tell somebody or make a little poke fun at somebody for crying that you are never allowed yourself to cry again.
I don't know about that.
If that were the case, Skraby, you make fun of everybody who makes a mistake on this planet. So that means you yourself can never make a mistake the rest of your life.
I don't
People
think
who live in glass houses. What?
I don't think I make fun of people for making mistakes. No, like, that guy forgot.
Just listen to half of our opens.
That's a whole different story.
That's Tony and I making a mistake. No, I just think that he probably, the emotion got the best of him last year, and maybe he and Max Duggan had some sort of personal rivalry going that we don't know about.
No, I'm going to go
top college.
Sorry, keep going.
These top college quarterbacks all get to know each other along the way, so perhaps there was something there. Maybe they had a previous relationship. I don't know, but I don't think because you quote tweet LOL that somebody's crying that you yourself are never allowed to cry again. USC is in a situation where their players should be crying. I mean, this was a top 5 team a month ago, and now they've lost 3 out of 4. All hopes of a national championship and most likely of a Pac-12 title have gone out the window.
Yeah.
And for Caleb Williams, this is a guy who won the Heisman Trophy last year. And I think he lost the Pac-12 championship game last year. I think he wanted to get back there and win it. And I think he realized that he's not even going to get back to that stage. So it's understandable that it hurts.
Okay. He actually went on to respond to his quote tweet, by the way. Said he wasn't laughing at Max D. He was happy for him and his journey, his team, and his passion for his school, blah, 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 blah. You know, when I'm happy for someone, usually I don't.
Again, you don't know. You don't know it. You don't know what the context is.
Right there. He's telling us.
It was not the context that you said it was.
Well, he quote tweeted a guy crying.
I know what he did, and that it led you to say, "Oh, point A connects to point B here." That's what it led you to say.
Caleb Williams might be a really good dude, but his dad ruined it for me.
Oh, I'm sure. His
dad ruined it for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you.
You're going to hold it against them until the day goes into the Hall of Fame.
I don't know about crying into your family's arms after a game.
Let me tell you what kind of day Skraby is on right here. He had one less 5 spot. He was trying to figure out what question he wanted to ask it. And the obvious one was, we just went over it. James Harden. Chris and I had to coax him into actually using the question.
I don't feel like James Harden should be mentioned on the show anymore for what he does to the NBA.
This guy. He would rather have a big 4 than have a big 5 just to keep James Harden off the list.
All right. Also, if we're not allowed to comment on anybody that Skraby doesn't like, we're not going to be able to talk about anything on the show.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
You have a book. I don't at least have a book. So,
number 1.
This is actually why I'm so angry today. I promise there's a question at the end of this, but I sold my car to someone online. It's a company.
There we go.
The whole part of it was that they were going to come pick it up with a tow truck for free. And I was willing to just take what they paid me for it so I could get it out of my hair. I scheduled the pickup for this morning. Friday night, driving home from work, they called asking if we could do it that night. And I said, yes, come pick it up, please. So they show up. They were about to load it on the truck when they realized their office gave them the check stub and not the actual check. So I said, I'm not accepting the check stub, and you guys just take my car away.
No.
Put it back in its spot and then come back on Monday. And they said, okay, we're really sorry. I kind of felt bad for the guys because it was almost
late.
10 p.m.
Yeah, I bet.
Anyway, they had to leave it. Waited for today. Today I get the call from the driver. He told me he would be there in an hour. An hour goes by. He's not there. All right, I'll wait a little bit more. Hour and a half goes by. He's not there. So I call him back to ask. And he said, oh, no, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I said, all right, 10 minutes. He said, 10 minutes. 10 minutes goes by.
Not there.
45 minutes later.
Yowzers. So we're 2 hours deep now.
There. I called again, and now he is ignoring my phone calls. So I left to come to work. I called the tow truck company, and they are as confused as I was. They have no idea what this guy is doing because it shows that he is doing what he says he's doing. So I think I may have discovered a little bit of something that's going on.
Oh, my Lord.
Long story short.
Multiple discoveries in this story.
I waited for an extra 2.5 hours.
That, by the way, is supposed to have a question at the end of it.
I waited for an extra 2.5 hours.
You know something? I'm in a hotel room. I'm in a hotel room lying on a bed. I could fall asleep at any moment.
Chris, how long would you wait?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, we've arrived at the end of this tale.
How long would you wait?
Well, I need to know a little more information. Is this the guy buying your car? And if he doesn't buy it, you don't have anybody else to sell it to?
He has the check for your car, though.
He has the check for my car, supposedly, yes.
Right. But if he doesn't, if he never comes and pays for your car and takes your car, are you going to be all right to sell it somewhere else?
Yeah, but I got a pretty good price, and I had already moved on in my head that this thing was gone.
There we go. We're getting to the crux of it.
The homeowners association is already
you're gonna have to wait
tire.
Do you listen to my man, Chris? Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
You're going to have to wait until the guy feels darn well ready to get there then. I'll tell you one thing, because your ability to not trust other human beings, you could have had the car towed away on Friday night and be done with it.
No.
And you yourself could have just driven. Hang on. You could have driven over to wherever it is this morning and picked up the check and been on your merry way.
I have my check stub 1053 right here, lady.
That's right. You could have had
I'm
the
sorry,
check
sir.
stub.
1053 doesn't exist.
I don't think the people are going to go out of business and leave the country on a $1,000 check or whatever it is. So I think your unwillingness to trust humanity is costing you now, and you are paying the price.
That
today,
was never an option presented to
to
me. That was never an option.
It's an option I'm presented to you. You could have presented it and said, just take the car.
No, they didn't want to do that.
Come pick up the check on Monday.
Wait, time out. So in the story, you said
I asked them if they could pay me through Venmo.
No, hold on. That wasn't an option. You said none of those were options.
No, it wasn't.
But they did offer you the check stub.
No,
Wait,
they just
didn't you say that?
No, they offered it to me thinking it was the actual check, and then I grabbed it, looked at it, and I said, "This is
just a check stub." And they were like, "Do you want to just hang on to it?"
No, then they're like, "Oh," and then they both look at each other like.
So it was never an option to keep the check stub.
Never an option.
But you yourself could have brought it up and said, "Just go ahead. I'll keep the check stub. You
Chris,
take
this
the
was
car.
like 10:15
I'll come pick
at
up
night,
the money on Monday."
Okay,
So what?
Can I have my turn to answer your question?
Yeah, of course.
I think Chris is 100% right on this.
Oh my god,
I really do. Like,
you're not even answering the question.
What was the question? How long would
you have waited? You guys are giving your.
That was your spin right there.
Yeah.
To answer your question, how long would I have waited? I would have waited the amount of time it took for my check to get there.
I'm still waiting for the phone call. He said 10 minutes, like 4.5 hours
Well,
ago.
eventually, if I had to go to work, I would have had to go to work. But I would have waited as long as possible.
I did.
And then I would have had ample reason then to call said tow truck company and be like, "Hey, your guy never showed up. I have to go to work." And now you can start doing, some demanding at this point. Can I get a discount on this?
Well, they're holding.
Can you add some cash to the number?
I want my car gone. Yeah. They know that I want.
That's my friend. That's what they call leverage. And you only have a little bit here. So, nevertheless, I would have waited because I would have wanted the money.
I waited as long as possible.
Okay. Well,
and when I called the tow company, I believe I alerted them to a guy who's not doing his job. So.
Sounds like something
should have gone and picked up the check this morning.
Yeah.
You'd be all done with it.
I don't know who's talking right now.
I'm with Chris.
I don't know who's talking right now. We'll be back with more Gwynn and Chris on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max San Diego Conditioning Company. A few things to watch out for here. One of them is a crash on southbound 15 near Market Street, not showing if lanes are blocked. Stalled car on the Fletcher Parkway off-ramp, eastbound 8. And we can already check ladder in lanes of our afternoon commute bingo card, eastbound side of the 52, right before Regents Road. Reports of a ladder in middle lanes. Take it extra carefully there. Looking for the best in HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest rated heating and air company with free diagnostics on all repairs and estimates. See why over 1,100 happy customers have given Air Max 5-star Yelp reviews. See Air Max today at airmax.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. Join me in Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner for Monday Night Football this week when the 4-3 Jets take on the LA Chargers. Zach Wilson and the Jets have won 3 straight, but now face Justin Herbert and a Charger team confident after a big win of their own last week. Don't miss all the action on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.3 The Fan.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help, so you can get the right answers and products right when you need them.
I always forget his name. Staley.
Brandon Staley.
Brandon Staley.
Yeah. What up?
If he loses this game, is his seat get hot?
No. I mean, his seat can't be any hotter. I guess they won last week.
That kind of bought him some time at least.
I think I already know what I know about him. I think it's not going to change.
Right. I think you're right.
I would be, we saw Aaron Rodgers on the field before the game, and his prediction that he would possibly be back before the end of the year. I mean, obviously, I'm not a doctor and I haven't examined him, but he looks pretty good throwing the football.
I will say that I will believe it when I see it, but he's doing things at a stage that I haven't seen anybody.
I mean, what?
Like
he's
walking
2
without
months?
he's walking without like any noticeable limp.
Yeah, no
He's
crutches.
Literally throwing a football around like he was back on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know. Remember, he didn't do the typical Achilles tendon kind of surgery. It was how I understand it, it was a experimental surgery that there's not a ton of data on at this point.
No. And so it like creates a brace around the Achilles, and that's what is new about it.
Right. And again, and this isn't just today. This is going back a few weeks ago when he came on the field, less of a limp than I think most people expected. Most people are used to seeing.
Yeah.
And he was actually like planning on it and throwing a football. What I know of an Achilles surgery of a fully snapped Achilles like his was, is that you're stuck in like a position in a boot or in a cast for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they gradually, slowly move your foot back to tension.
Seems crazy.
I watched my wife have to go through this. But nothing what I'm seeing from Aaron Rodgers. So like I said, I'll believe it when I see it, but it looks great right now for him.
It does look great. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll believe it when we see it. We will update you and get you up to date on everything that's Padres here in the next segment. Right now is Chris versus the fans.
No, it's
Gwynn.
not.
Sorry, Gwynn versus the fans. We are going to play for a couple things today. You will you won't have a chance. You will win a pair of tickets to Green Day at Petco Park on September 28th. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. On Ticketmaster.com. So if you beat Tony, then you will win those, and you will also be qualified for our new grand prize. A 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas and 2 tickets to Luke Bryan. Country music superstar Luke Bryan has announced the final shows of his record-breaking Las Vegas headlining engagement at Resorts World Theater. The 5-time Entertainer of the Year has fans on their feet in the high-energy electric performance that features only in Las Vegas production elements. Final show dates run December 29th through January 6th. Tickets on sale now at rwlasvegas.com. So make sure you call right now, 833-288-0973.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, once we mentioned the Green Day phones lit up. Here are the rules.
Green Day is lit.
Green Day is. I mean, do you know they're almost I think they are being played on oldies stations. Classic rock.
This takes us back to our time.
Classic rock. We're that old now, Tony.
We're getting there, man.
We are getting there.
We are getting there.
The rules of this game: you have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get the question wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong,
Chris is not playing.
Goodness!
Chris is not playing again.
You know what I was thinking about as I was reading that?
Nope.
I didn't play the Gwynn versus fans open. That's what I was thinking.
He
as I was reading
literally
it.
During commercial break was like, "Oh, I got to get the Gwynn versus the fans open." And
Okay.
In a matter of 35 seconds, he forgot.
All right, here we go.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself, now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Gwynn
versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Now that we've got the official open out of the way,
That's out the way now.
let's get to our contestants. Let's go first to... Ooh, there's so many good contestants to choose. Let's go to Ryan in La Jolla. Ryan.
Maybe there's a different one.
Okay, I'll choose a different one.
What if he wasn't talking to you?
I heard he wanted me to choose a different one, so I'm going to keep going. Cesar, you are up next, thanks to Ryan choosing not to go.
If I'm
Pickles.
Pickles. Are you ready, Cesar?
Let's do it.
All right. Poor Ryan. He's probably like, no, I was talking to someone else.
He probably was.
All right. What team did Damian Lillard get traded to before this NBA season?
The Bucks.
The Bucks is correct. I knew you were going to know this.
Nice work.
Even if you're not an NBA guy, I know Cesar knows his sports. So here we go. Question number 2. Which San Diego high school produced 2 of the 2004 Heisman Trophy finalists?
Which 2 names or which school?
Which high school?
Helix.
Helix High is correct. Reggie Bush and Alex Smith. That's a really, really tough
I saw
high school
both
game.
of those guys play
In high school?
In high school against Poway, and this would have been before they were seniors, and they were just running up and down.
I was gonna say, like, I was the same graduating year as Reggie Bush, so I saw everything that he did throughout his high school career, which was amazing.
Yeah, he was doing that as his freshman year.
Yeah, he was amazing. But I never saw Alex Smith. Was he like, when you saw him play, were you like, wow, that guy's gonna be a number 1 overall pick?
It's in high school. It's at that time. And so it was a little bit harder for quarterbacks.
True.
I mean, we were watching Reggie Bush return punts, return kicks. He was getting ball.
He's not getting much to do.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was hard for Alex to stand out.
That's true. Well, he ended up going to be a number 1 overall pick in the NFL and play a pretty good career, I think, or have a good career. All right, Cesar. Question number 3. You get this right, you are going to be going to the Green Day concert and entered for the trip to Las Vegas. In the 2003 Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State won the national championship over Miami with the help of what controversial penalty? Just give me the penalty description.
Ohio penalty. Let's just call it pass interference.
You are correct.
Oh,
wow.
yes.
Wow. Cesar didn't even need Tony.
My guy Jesse Agley would tell you it was a bogus call. And it was kind of a bogus call.
I need to go watch the video again.
Yeah, it was the last play. Miami initially got the stop, but the flag came in quite late, I might add, and it gave Ohio State another shot. They ran it in. Rest is history.
Wow. I don't remember this pass interference call, but apparently a lot of people do.
Oh, yeah. Everybody remembers it.
That was the year I graduated high school, so I wasn't a drunk just yet. So I should remember this. That's how I do things in my life. I'm like 2003 high school, not a drunk yet.
I mean, you were going through some tough times, so I imagine that you definitely kind of calculate or remember things based on that.
I wouldn't call myself a drunk until the age of 25, 24, and then I became a drunk. 23. It keeps going down.
I think it kind of has to build up. You don't just come out the gate as an alcoholic.
No.
I mean, you probably got to.
Well, I would say that this is a whole weird conversation, but I
don't know how we got here, but we're here.
I would say that I'm always an alcoholic, and I was always an alcoholic. I just needed to find that part about myself. Okay. And once I did, I was like, this is heaven for me, until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I did get some help. Actually, when we were at your Hall of Fame induction on Saturday night, there was a listener that stopped me and said that his son-in-law struggles with alcohol abuse as well. And he said that it helped him to hear me talk about it because, I don't really realize this, but I guess I normalize it to an extent where they're like, wow, this guy was an alcoholic and he sounds pretty stupid, but he's back on track.
You're a living, walking example of someone that, with the right help.
Yeah, definitely.
Can get their life, back on track.
Yeah,
so
that was the right keyword.
It's not a death sentence for it doesn't have to be a death sentence if, you come to the understanding that you did about yourself and then sought out the help that was necessary in order to do it.
Whether
it was forced or not, at first it happened.
It was forced at first. It was like, do you want to live in this house? You will go to rehab or get help. And then I always tell this in AA because some people never believe, but I got kicked out of rehab. That's how bad I was. And they ended up letting me back in. And that was it. That was like,
so someone showed you some grace there, because
without
getting back in,
I wouldn't. Okay, here's the thing. They called me one night. I was going to go to my rehab thing, and they go, you know what? We're not letting you back in. Don't make it down here, or don't come down here. And we're just letting you know that you haven't done what we need you to do to stay in the program. And I was like, Instead of driving to the liquor store like I usually do, I said, you know what? I'm going to prove these people wrong. And that's what it took me to stop drinking, was a little bit of spite.
Whatever it was, it was the thing that got you over the hump.
Anyway.
All right. So Caesar won that last competition. So Caesar, hang on the line.
You didn't even get to answer.
I didn't, which is good. You didn't have to hear me mess one up or get one wrong. Caesar, hang on the line. Mr. Skraby will get you here in a second. We're gonna get to break. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Some of the finalists for Major League Baseball awards season have started to kind of trickle through on our way out as we get you prepared for a little Chargers Jets action. We'll go over some of these finalists, official finalists. Got to turn your mic on,
yes,
everybody.
Thank
there
you.
you go.
Official finalists: National League Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year Award, Corbin Carroll, James Outman, Kodai Senga. That's a good race.
It's a good race. Unfortunately, Corbin Carroll's got that one, I think, sold up. All three of those. James Outman was tremendous at times, wasn't as consistent. Senga was awesome, really, all season long, but he's a pitcher. He doesn't have as often to kind of prove. Corbin Carroll was that dude all season long.
Yeah, he definitely was. Looking for
and
the
in the
American
playoffs
League,
for that matter.
American League Rookie of the Year. Maybe they're not done announcing it yet, but we'll move on to the National League Cy Young Award finalists.
I think they got American League Rookie.
I'm not seeing it.
It's Tanner Bibby.
Oh, okay.
Of the Guardians. I think it's Bibby or Bibby. Tristan Cassis.
Here it is.
Red Sox, and then Gunnar Henderson. Cassis, Henderson in particular, I remember because, again, position players, they both played well. Gunnar Henderson, though, I is my guess to be the leader on the board right now. Kid from the Orioles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was talked about all season long. National League Cy Young Award finalists. First, we just got to say Blake Snell obviously made it. He is on the list. Then you have Zach Gallen from the Diamondbacks. It's an all National League West Cy Young Award finalist with Logan Webb closing that out.
Yeah, I think this is a done deal too.
I mean, it's got to be Blake Snell.
It's Blake Snell. I don't think there's any question he was that dominant. We gone over all of the crazy statistics. When he wins it, he's already the first player to lead the league in walks and punch outs.
That should be enough for it.
But now he's going to be the only Cy Young Award winner to lead the league in punch outs and walks.
I mean, it does him winning in both leagues. That's not a contract booster, right? You don't get more money on a contract because you've won the Cy Young in both leagues.
No,
that's just more of a personal accolade thing.
Saying no, but being able to say that you're a 2-time Cy Young Award
it's
winner,
a good resume,
and you're
thing.
winning a Cy Young Award going into your free agency. That'll get you some extra loot.
He chose the best year possible to pitch his best. That is true.
Great timing.
American League Cy Young Award: Garrett Cole of the Yankees, Kevin Gausman of the Blue Jays, and Sonny Gray of the Twins.
Yeah, hang with him, guys. Garrett Cole.
The Managers of the Year American League finalists are Bruce Bochy, obviously, took his team to the World Series, won the World Series, but his regular season was good. Kevin Cash of the Rays and Brandon Hyde of the Orioles.
Now, mind you, this is a regular season award. It doesn't count for Boch that he went ahead and won the World Series or that he took out
the Astros,
Brandon Hyde's
Orioles.
The Orioles. None of that matters. It's just the regular season. And from that standpoint, I think Brandon Hyde has the leg up here.
He won over 100 games.
He won the American League East, which I think by all accounts was the toughest division. Who finished up below 500 in that division? Who ended up finishing below 500? Do you have that?
Would it be? It's not the Yankees. It's not the Blue Jays. It's not.
Tampa.
I don't think anybody did.
I don't think anybody
did.
I'm gonna double check that. But either way, no one had, as good as the Orioles looked last year before they kind of faded, no one had them winning 100 games this year. No one.
Not at all.
And so I think he's got this one for sure.
National League Manager of the Year Award finalist Craig Counsell of the Brewers, which is kind of awkward because he's going to Chicago to be the Cubs manager. Skip Schumacher of the Marlins and Brian Snitker of the Braves. Now, if we're talking about managers like you just talked about him, Brian Snitker would have to be the guy because his regular season was pretty perfect.
Who are the finalists again? I'm sorry.
No, it's Snitker, Counsell, and Schumacher.
I mean, the Braves ran away with it, but Craig Counsell had a pretty good year.
92 wins.
Not to mention Skip Schumacher.
He did. First season, had 85 victories, a 15-win increase from 2022. Made the playoffs for the first time in a non-shortened season since 2003.
I don't think this is as cut and dry. The Braves had a team that I think everybody picked at the beginning of the year to win the division.
So who would you pick? in this one?
I would pick Skip.
You would pick Skip?
Skip.
Let me tell you something, Skip. I missed that about Shannon Sharp.
I would think I would definitely pick Skip.
All right.
That team came out of no one had them doing anything remotely close to what they did.
They're announcing the AL Most Valuable Player finalist right now, and all I see is Marcus Semien
gets a nod.
Yes, he gets a nod. Here they are.
Corey Seager. See, Corey, no way. He missed. I think he played like 114 games, finished with 33 homers and 96 RBIs.
It's him, Shohei Ohtani, Corey Seager, Shohei Ohtani, and Marcus Semien for AL MVP.
Now, Shohei exited at what point?
August?
Is that too soon?
I felt like it was at the time, but I didn't really know.
This is going to be interesting. I think this might end up being closer than because it was a runaway with Shohei. Like, he was by far going to win it.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't finish the season.
He did not finish the season. He tried to.
How much will he be held to account for not finishing the season?
I just feel like
he do enough through August to seal the deal?
Well, he was pitching at a Cy Young rate until then.
He was.
I would think maybe he has a little bit of a
the more I start watching these highlights again, the more I remember
he's just crunching home runs, just opposite field home runs.
How dominant he was!
Like, his home run swing, he gets everything into it.
Dude, Shohei is not a little dude.
No, you told me he's like 6'5", 240, huge. 50.
Yeah, man. It was unfortunate to see him go. So August 20th, it looked like, or somewhere around there, he ended up shutting it down.
Yeah, somewhere around there. He might have done just enough, or might have missed out on too much.
The fact that he was doing multiple things is really he was pitching and hitting.
Yeah, that's
and he was doing it at a high level. So we'll both say Shohei's going to be the winner there. But
all right, real quick news on the Padres: they do not have a manager, but they did have Fernando Tatis Jr. and Ha-Seong Kim win Gold Gloves. Michael Wacha declined the option, or both the Padres and Michael Wacha declined, and Nick Martinez the same. Seth Lugo did last Friday, and that's about it for the updates now. We'll have more tomorrow for sure.
Full 4 hours tomorrow. We're going to get you out to New York for a little Jets. Chicago. Jets, Chargers. Not Chicago. Jets and Chargers.
Yes, Jets and Chargers.
Full group will be back tomorrow. Chris, myself, and Skraby. Until then, have a good night.
Bye.